Let's walk through EU from last week, and we can kind of go from there. So let's play it. Probably won't play because it's set to. That's fucking annoying. I hate when the replay does this. Let's just walk through price, eh? So first session coming into London here. As you can see, coming into this session, we're obviously starting to get bearish movement. We've racked it off a bullish point that has not broken. So it's come up and it's taken this liquidity here. As we had last week, we had break, retest, which then failed to break. So what it's telling me by this point failing to break the low is this point won't hold. Okay, so start of the week, you should have had this marked out as a smart money trap. Very, very straightforward and simple. You then had this point here, obviously, that did break through, but given that it's just taken liquidity, which happens to be two leg, which gives our break and retest entry on the 15-minute, given that we've had this two leg that's taken liquidity, this being a valid demand, being the second take of liquidity off of a smart money trap. This gives us our sell side model treating this as retest, take retest, and complete sell. Okay, so very, very straightforward and simple. Momentum, retest, build up, target. Okay, that is the entry model itself. So to open Asian session, it's actually very clean to look for an entry here. In terms of continuing with this, the structure cycle is telling ourselves this point, obviously not breaking and retesting here and completely just taking this liquidity is showing that we are just continuing bearish. If we mark out this area in here, this is that demand I was talking about here. So just following simple structure. We've got mitigation, push that leads to a push up. We then take liquidity that leads to an internal break here. Okay. So that's following the internal structure here. If we then mark that out, we've got break, retest, and push. So this here would be our invalidation of looking for sells. So until this point, we can look for sells. What we've then got to understand is the weight of this point versus this point, given our current structure cycle, this should not hold and continue. Okay, now based on the entry it's given and how far we've actually moved up, I don't see anything of interest in here. For me, I don't want to sell in the middle of a range. Okay, I want to pull back into a mitigation to take some liquidity to then sell. I'm moving away from sells like this. Okay, it's just something I'm not interested in. It is a quicker entry. It's something you look at as you're up for the week, not necessarily coming into the week. So this is not a good entry to take given we're sitting 50% in the middle of the range coming from a point that could be a demand. Okay, we're expecting it to be a smart money trap given the liquidity taken and the structure cycle, but in order to kind of see that play out, we need a bit of a push up and an inducement in the opposite direction. Okay, I'll jump down and obviously have a look. We'll see if there was anything of interest. So to come into this point, we've obviously had build up that leads to an internal break and a quick push. So for me, this push, pull down, two leg, this did break this and this broke this. So we've had a clear manipulation in order to buy. In order to buy from this point, we need one inducement, second inducement, and push. Okay, we're looking for that bullish price action. We don't get that. Instead, what do we do get? We get a smart money trap reaction. So what this is telling us is this area of supply is now valid to look. Okay, given our current rules of is this a smart money trap or not? Well, we've had a smart money trap reaction given session timing. Given the session timing, it makes it a little bit difficult. So we've induced up on open, beautiful, complete push down. It has given our manipulation with open. It is valid to set this, but like I said, lots and lots of risk. You're better off to wait for new structure. So what do we get? We get a push and a break. So now we've moved away from this point, which is beautiful, which has given us a new supply. In order to set this, we need break and retest. So we get, obviously, break, retest, and push that then pushes itself up. Now this has given us a little internal two leg into this break. So you've got an area of valid supply, an area of valid supply. So just given our structure cycle to the downside, you've got low, low, decisional, extreme. So we've got our own little structure cycle built up in here. Okay, so all we're looking is for some form of manipulation, some form of entry to take this. If you're up for the week, it's valid to go mitigation, one leg, two leg, weak low, set this limit, break even once it hits. Okay, like I said, very aggressive entry. You're following the internal structure cycle from a point that's been proven as a smart money trap. It's just very, very internal. So the entry itself would necessarily be break, and you would have to set it as it breaks. In terms of if this moves back up, we will actually have to like we'll have to have a look on the 15 second. I'm gonna say it doesn't. It fucking gapped, so even better. Yep, so it gapped. So on lower time frames, it gaps. So there's not even anything we can fucking do. So even the chart couldn't handle it. So it's just so internal, so small price action, but it's valid to sell from that area. Just I don't think there's an entry there for us necessarily. I don't know why it does this. Does anyone know why it automatically goes to 1 minute? Fucking stupid as fuck. It's so dumb that I can't use TradingView anymore.
Never seen that.
It's fucking retarded. All right, beautiful. So we've had this area proven as a smart money trap. This did mitigate this area. So you've got mitigation, mitigation. It's all area of demand. It's to me, it's already proven this entire area is a smart money trap. This is a medium inducement, very, very small internal medium inducement. It's not something I would use necessarily to be like anything huge and large and something we're looking at. In terms of what we're expecting given the current structure cycles, we want it to come take this low. So to start the session, we get direct equal lows. We don't want to buy from here. It's at the bottom of a point that hasn't broken up. If you look, it's obviously bearish. So we'll kind of see if there's a sell here. So all we're looking is for an area to get into a sell. So what do we kind of have? We have break into this area of supply. So if we read back into this price action, you've got obviously this supply which is met. We pull down, mitigated this supply here. So this is our last area of supply. Okay. We mark our last area of supply. Remove all my fucking drawings. Last area of supply here. After session, this area is now been proven to be a smart money trap. Here, you would then have to try and get into here. So if we kind of read external break, retest area here, push, you would want to be in before here or have an area of retest. You get break, retest, and push. That would be your limit. Okay, so that is a valid limit. It's way after time, but in terms of following the current structure cycle trend line, that would be your target, targeting the low for a 1 to 3. Okay, way after time,
I
something we're not
just
going to add to it. You're
had a
right.
look at that myself.
Yep.
Uh, and there's a 5 minute break. I didn't get this, I just had a look now, and it's 2 hour timing, but there's a 5 minute break. You could just
Mhm.
set the 5 minute and off you go. But
Yep.
because it's retest, this think I had the same question last week.
Yep.
It's too risky, right? Because if you can't have the 5 minute break being the retest, you
Hmm.
need another confirmation
Yes. So
on top.
5 minute, I need two movements with internal liquidity. So I need an inducement that then gives me a push, that then gives me an internal inducement, then a push as a minimum. Ideally, I want one leg into a break, into a second leg with retest, and then I'll set this leg. 5 minute, you've got to expect there's an inducement inside the range. That's why I won't go off just breaks. It's very rare I will. I'll need an inducement internally. I'm happy to go off a 5 minute break if the 1 minute shows me that I've got enough. So the 5 minute will be like an extra confirmation. So if I've got 1 minute break and retest with an internal inducement into another break, and the 5 minute has just broken, I've now got two reasons to enter this. Okay. And then I obviously need bearish narrative on top of that, which I think is quite simple in that sense. So this one, following structure makes sense. This is one you would wake up the next day, look at, and be like, yeah, cool, I would take that, but it just wasn't in timing. Whatever. Okay. Let's stop that there. So nothing for us there. So what we'll do is we'll go. Um, so for me, I don't want to take that. I'm not interested personally. And then for me, um, I think this is a good area, given we have a pullback and a retracement. Um, what I might actually do, I'm not going to bother with that because I wouldn't even look there. Um, Entry after timing. Okay. And that's how I'll mark that out. Beautiful. All right. So now we've obviously pushed down and broken. Now, to me, given we're so far away from the left now and we've got 15-minute range, I'm not worried about what's happening left at all. I'm not buying until I get two 15-minute breaks. And that needs to stay clear in your head. I'm either buying through a supply point, which should be a smart money trap, or I'm not buying until I get a structure cycle to the upside. So we should only be looking for sells. If we then follow structure in terms of what's happened, this was our medium inducement. What gave us an inducement here? This is a decision to win this range. It has taken liquidity internally here. As you can see, break, pull up, take a liquidity push that broke through our 15 here and our 15 low here. So this is a point of decision. This is a point of extreme, and that's obviously our extreme of our external range up the top. So very, very clear range in terms of that. So all we're looking for here is we do not want to buy into this. There is no need to buy into this. The only way we buy is if we get an internal break that then leads to an area of weak supply. We don't have that here. We're opening at the top of a range. We're looking to continue sell. Okay, and that just depends on where we're obviously looking at. You've then got this area here, which is an area of supply, as we've marked out with our demand to supply area here. So what I would have is this as a medium inducement. So things that tick the rules is it a valid supply demand point? Yes, it is, and it's the decision that will broke the external. So for me, this point here is a medium inducement. On open, an hour after our opening session, we get a medium inducement into mitigation. That's where I'm looking for an entry. Okay. I didn't trade this day, I don't believe. I was sick. So let's have a look and see what was in here. This was the quickest shit entry, wasn't it? Yep. So this is valid if you've got the nuts for it. You've got break, which then pushes down. And if you follow inducements to the upside, you've got demand to supply that pushes. This then mitigates that supply and pushes down again. You then get a sweep of liquidity and push. So once you get that sweep of that liquidity, it is valid to set this off of two breaks. You don't need to cover the top because it showed off of the mitigation of this demand to supply that it's not coming this high anymore. Okay. This is a very over the top read on the 1 minute. And if you miss this one, that's completely fine. It's a very aggressive entry to start the week, but I believe this is valid. You've just got to be able to follow the 1 minute and not accept that it's kind of just gone. So the hard part with reading 1 minute down this far in the range is you can't just be like, yeah, cool, it's gone. I can't take it. Okay. Which is hard to do because the last thing you want is to not cover this, it come and take this point and you get taken or it push higher. But this is where context plays a part. And you've got to look at the context of the trade rather than the trade itself. The 1 minute is you can use as weak confirmations here, just following structure given what you've got. So if we mark out what we've got, like I said, that would be the high, my protected high. Back to the 15-minute. Medium inducement on timing into a mitigation of a supply in a bearish market. Trendline target. You can target 50% of Asia, which is where I would target, which gives you a 1 to 4. Okay. I don't think you need to necessarily go any further than that. Simple reason being medium inducement here. This can now create a new leg. Okay. I think holding any further than that is expecting that it's just going to keep going bearish, which doesn't happen. What you'll normally find is after a medium inducement, you'll get your second leg and then you'll get your sell into the take of this liquidity. Okay. So we've got no 15-minute internal liquidity. Therefore, we know that middle of Asia session, you've also got internal break and retest is your target. Okay, those two line up together. All right, so I think that's valid. I said I didn't take it. I wasn't even trading at this time, so hindsight is a thing, but this one is one that should be taken.
I always find the not covering the high the hardest thing.
Yeah.
I can follow mitigation of supply,
Yep.
break, but for me, I'm like
Yes. It's
50-50 on it because I,
yeah,
I
it's the
understand
confidence
it, but
behind it,
then
110%.
yeah, yeah.
So if you were to cover the high, you'd have a 10 pip stop loss.
I wouldn't take it because it's not clean enough PA to then cover
I
the
think
10 pip.
so.
If it's
This is where
coming all the
you've
way
got
up
to
there,
decide. This is where you've got to decide clean PA versus context and entry. This is where you've got to
mm,
decide what type of trade you're doing. I'm not saying this is a mistrade. This, based on me, is a mistrade. Based on my outlook of how I trade, this is a mistrade. Whether you have that as the entry and target 1 to 3, I believe this is a mistrade because I don't need clean PA. I need reason behind PA.
You
Clean
just need
PA to me
valid
is,
PA.
yes, clean to PA to me is such an emotional thing to say. You've got to have a definitive reason as to why this is not clean price action to you. Not
I
saying
would
it's
probably would have
not
set the retest
beautiful, and
because
that's
then
fine.
there's like a
Beautiful.
good of liquidity, so you take the retest and go,
Yep,
then that's clean.
beautiful.
But
No,
to set it off the mitigation of the second leg feels more iffy.
okay, that's fine. And
It
then,
doesn't matter that we're
okay, so
debating over one pip.
what is iffy about? See, this is where I want you to solve what is iffy.
By
Is it
because
because you
there's
don't have enough data on it? Is that you don't have enough data off of this? Do you believe you're chasing this? Is it an emotional response?
probably
Is this an
because it
area where
feels
it
like
makes sense to chase?
well, absolutely because of the
This
supply.
is
And I
this
wasn't
is the
trading this
thing. Like I said,
session.
I'm just being devil's advocate. This is
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
hate the it's iffy or um
yeah.
I'm not like if you're not comfortable with it, then say I'm not comfortable with it. So then what your answer should now be, as if I were you, is I'm going to
Mm,
now backtest the fuck out of this.
yeah, yeah. Cool.
Because to me, this is given context. If you don't get in this, and this is going to sound really harsh, there's a skill issue.
Mm-mm.
Now, this is how I treat myself. So I'm not doing this to be a dick. I'm not being like, you have a
No,
skill
this
issue,
is good.
Josh, get good. I'm saying this to me, if I've missed this, there is a skill issue in my trading. I need to go solve it because this, given context, I should be catching. If you would like to know why I think it's a skill issue, Alex caught this.
Mm. Because the protected high you have there,
Yes.
for me, makes it a more comfortable trade
Yes.
because the range feels more appropriate
Yeah. Beautiful.
rather than covering 10 pips.
Yeah.
Like I feel like and maybe this is anecdotal. That's, it's probably a lost trade.
My internet just cut out. What'd you say?
Uh, that protects, yeah, because like when I've taken these kind of trades before, when I've
Mhm.
covered the high, if it
Yeah.
comes all the way up to the supply, I've probably taken a loss. So it
So
makes more sense when you have the protected high,
you've
and
then got
like
to
that
ask
range
yourself
is more
is,
comfortable.
I guess what you've got to ask yourself is,
Mm.
pip size matters on how far a trade can move, right? Yes,
The
pip
pip
size.
size doesn't bother me because I've taken 10 pips before. Like the pip size doesn't bother me.
So why didn't you take it?
Aside from not trading the session,
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Good
or
point.
I wasn't on this session
Yeah.
because it's London.
Yeah.
Uh, the the
Now, this
build
could
up
be
of liquidity.
I would completely respect, I set this and it didn't come up.
I would have done that. I probably would have
Beautiful.
done that.
Nothing
And
wrong with
then
that.
now we're debating like zero point 0.5
Beautiful.
of a
If
pip. So,
I think the issue here is if you're watching the charts at this time and you don't set a limit, you've read the market wrong.
oh, agreed. Yeah, yeah, agreed.
Beautiful. So
I didn't trade this session either, but I don't know that I would have set that either. And I
Mm,
reckon because I'm looking so much at the breaks to the left or the retest on that 1 minute break. I'm not so focused on noticing that there's a 1 minute structure cycle playing out,
yeah, yeah.
and
So
then and that's giving me a protected high and that kind of thing.
yeah. So I've slowly taught you guys how I think. The two confirmations is the base level of thinking with entering a trade. Okay. Think structure cycle, think inducement. So you guys might have been noticing I'm hinting first inducement, second inducement, mitigation, and push. That is how a reversal works from anywhere. Smart money trap reactions, anything. That is how you inevitably want to think later. Okay. That, depending on if you move to that, is if you're a checklist trader or if you're a read price action trader. There's two different types. Okay. Me, I'm a read price action trader because I want to know for the reason for everything. So, how I would read this is one inducement, second inducement, push. So I would need to have that set. And if it moves away again, I set the new range.
can I ask a
That's how
dumb
I read this.
question?
So, yep, far out, far away.
I don't understand why you call the second inducement an inducement. I just see that as a mitigation of supply and push.
That's fine. You can view it that way.
Okay.
Um,
Because
I
it's
more
not
or less,
taking anything into it.
I more or less would have this, but you guys are going to say they're two equal, and I can't point that out to you. I've just seen it that many times. I'm not going to use that one, so I'm going to use the mitigation as the inducement. So inducement goes for did I take liquidity or did I build liquidity? They're the two things. So you've got to work out what you see in this that takes liquidity or builds liquidity. So for me, the reaction to the upside here builds liquidity. Does that make sense?
And it's a demand to
Yeah.
supply, like it
Yes.
all that makes
Yes.
sense. Like,
So realistically, based on the confirmations of what I'm saying, it's inducement, inducement.
hmm.
I'm not going to go down to the
Does it,
15 second and
does it
tell you
sort
that
of
this is a
go
15-second two leg.
like the first inducement takes liquidity, the second inducement sort of builds liquidity
Yes.
to then take with the next move? That's what I
Yes.
sort of
Yes.
got my head around as to like because
Yes.
I understand that inducements work on both sides of the market, like
Mhm.
either taking or building in order to continue entering positions.
Mhm.
So it makes sense that in a reversal, you would your first inducement would be to kind of clear the market
Yeah.
of other traders in your direction, like as an institution, so you
Yeah.
have ultimate control. And then the second inducement to build liquidity in the opposite on the opposite side of the market in order
Yeah.
to continue adding to your position as an institution
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
to carry price wherever you want to take it.
Yes. And then the third
Is that about right? Like, is
confirmation,
that
100%. That's exactly how I think about it. Exactly. Now, whether that's right or wrong, I imagine it is on like a scale of institutional trading, it is. But
yeah,
like the
yeah,
amount of money that's moved, it's impossible to say. If you look at
yeah,
this,
yeah?
this
That theory
direction,
works enough.
this is a manipulation.
Yeah, out of supply, bring in
Yes.
more
It's
traders,
a 15-second manipulation.
push through.
I just
Yeah,
know it is. So if you don't take this trade and you don't get in, I'm understanding with that. This to me is a good enough manipulation. To most, it won't be. I just know what this looks like on the 15-second because I've seen it a billion times. Okay. I understand setting this and not getting tagged. I would accept that because more times than not, you won't just get that type of price action. I just think, and this just may be an emotional response, once it breaks again, if I would be stupid not to chase it. Okay. You just got to ask yourself why you would have that set and as it moves away, why you don't move. And if you don't move because you're not at the point where you can then move an entry. So realistically, how you would, if you didn't have this in manipulation, you'd have inducement, push, second confirmation, push, or you'd have break, second confirmation, set limit. If you then don't see, and this is where I kind of don't see it. Like I watching this on the 1 minute, it would play out as one move down, pull up, second break. That makes sense? Like for me, that's enough to have that set. That makes
But
sense?
now that you say it like that, I probably, if I was watching live, that would probably be enough as
That
well.
like that would have probably been my entry.
Yeah.
If I then didn't get in that and it moved away, then I would have had that set. But my first entry, like looking at this really like if I was watching this live, that's what I would have set personally. I think either way, you just need something set here. I think if you don't, you've haven't trusted yourself enough. There's a reason you've hesitated. You need to work out the reason you've hesitated, I think. I think that is the kind of the key here. It's such a good prime spot given the confirmations of the structure cycle. Medium inducement of a supply that broke through. So you should realistically have this marked out coming into the day as a supply because it is a supply, and you should have this marked out as a supply. So it's taken medium inducement, given a reaction that's taken liquidity, medium inducement, mitigation, decisional that broke through, internal low, external low. Like look at all of these institutional manipulations that bring in buyers in a bearish market. Okay, I think that's kind of the application. So went down a rabbit hole there, but hopefully that makes sense. So yes, that's a valid trade. At least holding to the 15-minute low, understanding the structure cycle. You would be break even, obviously, as it mitigates this area anyway. Okie dokie. Glad we went down that rabbit hole. Sweet. You fucking remove that. All right, so coming into New York, obviously structure cycle wise, we've now taken and broken 15-minute internal range here. We've then pull back up and push down. So if we mark out our internal points, we've got pull up, push down. This is then given us a supply here, decisional, extreme. Okay. Medium inducement into a mitigation. This is impossible to sell to. There's just not enough room. I mean, we can go down and have a look. So on open, like we've just got nothing. There's nothing to work with here. Medium inducement, mitigation, no breaks, nothing. Absolutely nothing to work with. There's no breaks. There's no smart money manipulation. There's nothing. All it's done is quickly pulled down and showed a smart money trap straight away, which gives us medium inducement number 2. This to me didn't take liquidity. It's a smart money trap. All we're looking for is some type of entry. Internal break, inducement 1, second break, set limit, institutional point. When I have medium inducement 2 breaks, because this to me is not retest, given that it's come so low in the range, I don't cover the low. I just don't. So 6.5, what's the timing on this? It's in session. Break even is this smart money trap or the mitigation of it, either or. Targets. I mean, you could do 1 to 3 given New York against momentum. Medium inducement, it's all you've got. This looks like it did take liquidity, so you've kind of got mitigation of area, push down here. So 1 to 3 probably makes sense for a full take profit. Because like I said, this did take liquidity, which means this is a decisional that pushed through this low. This mitigated this point, pushed down, broken, retested here. So I think that makes sense. You'd be at break even probably now anyway. Might not even get you 1 to 3. There you go, 1 to 3. Make sense? That's pretty straightforward. So I think that's a very. Did anyone take that?
No, I didn't. No, I haven't been
No,
able to trade New York this
no,
week
that's fine.
or
Oh,
last week.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that's
I was watching for some reason. I didn't, must have gone to bed
that's fair. It's
out of timing.
you just got to accept that this is a medium inducement, given what it's done. Once you have that, you just stay on until you get your confirmations you need. Um,
Mm. That's pretty clean. I
that's
just don't
yeah.
get the only
Right.
covering the first leg. You're saying if you have a medium inducement and then it gives the immediate confirmations
Yeah. So if I have medium
versus a
inducement that
minor.
gives 2 breaks, I
Yeah.
will not cover the low.
Okay.
Uh, Dean didn't take, but given context, just 2 breaks with 2. Yep, 110%. So medium inducement with 2 breaks, 100% worth it. There's just 2 bullish confirmations. Um, definitely worth it. You've also taken a little bit of retest here, so you could even have that as your retest into a point here. I mean, even covering the low makes sense if you want to cover the low. It's mitigated the 5-minute point. So let's say you cover the low and run your 1 to 3. See if it kind of hits it. I don't know if it will. Yep, smacks you 1 to 3 anyway. Oh, it's fucking close. Jesus Christ. So depending on how you enter this thing, is whether or not you get your 1 to 3. Like I said, I would be personally not covering the low. Just a rule I have, medium inducement for New York reversal. I don't cover the low. Okay. That means I take a loss, then I take a fucking loss. That's a rule I have. So probably be a 6.2-ish. And then you could either target 1, 2, 3 or target the high of supply or whatever fucking shit you want to do. So I think that doesn't actually get much cleaner than that. I think that's probably the easiest trade of the week. Like I said, I was sick. Valid entry. Yeah. Makes sense. I think that makes pretty fucking clean sense.
I
Uh,
think from memory, just buying off the bearish momentum,
mhm,
I still struggle with.
that's fair.
So it's clean like entry and it's on timing, but buying after like, 5 15-minute breaks to the downside.
It is in
But
the
we're in a
point.
good area of demand.
It's
I don't know.
literally
I
in the
get
it's literally in the bottom point.
oh,
There's a 15-minute point at the bottom.
pretty
Um,
crazy.
London Open, whole day, reversal, makes sense. Obviously it's against momentum, but two breaks, medium inducement.
But you wouldn't take that if it had like retested because it's so against the structure cycle.
Yes.
And if it
Yeah.
had retested that break, then
Not
taking a
interested.
buy,
Yeah, not
yeah, it would.
interested. I need to show that it's taken the medium inducement and it's attacking this point as quickly as
And it's
possible.
actually an inducement, yeah, not a break, and not just
Yes,
building liquidity to then continue bearish.
yes, yeah. Given you probably should have taken this one, you 100% would take this one. So realistically, 6% day on Tuesday. Very, very, very clean. Yeah, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Like I said, that's a medium inducement. We can remove that. Have that. Yeah, good fucking good day on EU. Jesus Christ. Coming into the next day, this is where you sit out of the market. Absolutely nowhere. We're in the middle of nowhere. We haven't taken Asian highs. We haven't taken Asian lows. Uh, we've had our internal break here that has created this point here. That's a decisional, which we've obviously reacted off of. You can look to sell back into this, but you're better off waiting for the medium inducement into mitigation of this low. So this is our extreme point. That's the decisional that broke through this point. As you can see, it's area of mitigation-ish. That's retest as well. So I have this as whether you treat it as supply to demand push or break, valid point push. This is a medium inducement again. So you've got medium inducement into that mitigation. Obviously, this is before timing, but we've come to demand before supply. Okay. This area on the 15-minute is clear retest. Yes, this is a valid supply, but medium inducement, no inducements are all in this range. We've obviously pushed up, created liquidity here. You've got break, retest that's pushed, take of retest here, trend line build up. That is the entry model on the 15-minute.
I
Okay,
took a buy in New York there.
beautiful. Down here,
No, that's out of timing.
further up.
Yeah, I like 3 minutes after the close of that
Ah,
hour.
yep, yep, beautiful. Okay, so you
This
took
was
it off the take of this low. Yep,
so it took like internal liquidity, gave two breaks. Like it was very small, but it gave
yep,
very clear intent.
yep,
All the liquidity above,
yep,
assuming the top is the smart money trap,
yep.
took it.
Yep. No, beautiful. So this is a demand to supply here. So I took the sell out of here, I believe. So I took this sell out of here, targeting that low. I ended up catching the break even because I wanted to take the low. But given the structure cycle, makes sense to look for both. So you've either got, obviously, this point is a smart money trap, which means you'll break past this point and come into supply and obviously push down. So you've obviously got mitigation, break, retest, push. You can set that. That's what I set. Didn't reach my 1 to 3, so I was targeting the low. Or you've got with the current structure cycle, like I said, given the liquidity of the trend line, targeting all of that fun shit. You've got inducement low, very, very clear inducement low. One break, push down, second break. Now, where you set this limit, it will differ from everybody. For me, this is not a valid entry for me just because this isn't a medium inducement. That is the only reason. It's against this internal structure cycle. And because this isn't a medium inducement, I won't take two breaks. That is just literally the only reason. So I needed a second inducement inside of here, and I didn't get one. Okay. You kind of do get this weird looking two leg thing, but that's not enough for me. I needed something like this, take of liquidity like that.
I saw that on the 15-second. That's what enticed me in.
Beautiful.
Maybe
No,
wrongly.
no,
But on the
spot on.
15, it just nipped it and then it pushed. I was like,
Yep.
okay, clearly intent.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Beautiful. No,
15
spot
second.
on. Worth it, whether you set off of this area covering the lows or not. Um, targeting just the high. This is where, given you've taken all the right trades for the week, you're holding to here. Okay. Given you've taken that, you're catching a break even on this. Unfortunately, you just are. You've got like three 15-minute highs, Asia highs, London highs. I imagine this is like previous day highs or some shit. You're like you're holding.
That
Unfortunately.
was my intent, and I just took 3R because it was the first trade of the week. That
Yeah,
was the only
beautiful.
reason.
No, spot fucking on. First trade of the week. 3% makes perfect fun sense. So this is a valid,
Mm.
very, very, very clean trade. No, good shit. All it takes is just understanding the current structure cycle. That's all it is. Medium inducement, push, internal break. This is your retest, or this is your valid point. Either way, that is a medium inducement. We're trading from a medium inducement that we haven't mitigated a supply yet. Given this is a medium inducement into this mitigation, we've taken this low and this low in this current structure cycle. This point should not hold. It is also a retest of this break. GU at the same time was in a shit area. We know Asian highs is a smart money trap. So we can have another one of those bad boys. Push down, inducement, no retest. Smart money trap, smart money trap, smart money trap, smart money trap, inducement low here, inducement low here, push. Okay. Very, very clean in terms of just following the current structure cycle where inducements lie, so on and so forth. Realistically, it makes sense to hold to here. Okay, so that's because I took this as well. I got break even entirely. So I took this on a funded account. This wasn't taken on the personal. None of these trades for me were. This was taken on a funded account, 2% risk. 1.5% risk targeting. It was like 1 to fucking 5 or something. Okay. Makes sense to hold to there. I think that it ends up going there anyway. It just, like I said, takes you out of break even. Yeah, there you go. Structure cycle, smart money trap, valid smart money trap, given that this is also a retest of this internal break. So this is where you've got to follow structure. Break, retest, push, internal break, retest, push. This is also a support to resistance flip. It is a smart money trap point. It's a trend line point. You have every bit of liquidity sitting in this area of the market. Okay.
Is this that sort of 15-minute entry model playing out there as well, where it's break, retest, hasn't broken the second
Yes.
time, come back up, put into
Yes.
supply, taken the retest, and now then it's broken structure again?
Mm-hmm. Spot on. So you've got, if I treat it as, you've obviously just got break, retest here. No, I don't think it is. It is the opposite direction in terms of break, retest. It then hasn't come up and taken this yet. That's kind of the only
Yeah.
thing here. In terms of the bullish sense, yes, it is. Break, retest, push. This then didn't break this high. It internally broke.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
that
I
make
thought it was
sense?
more the bearish narrative. Okay. Yeah.
The bearish is, but the high time frame bearish. So the
Yeah.
bearish
That's right. That's
is,
what I mean. Yeah.
yes,
High time frame
yes,
bearish. Yeah.
110%. Whereas the bullish is break, retest, push, or break, retest, push, internal break, liquidity build up, pull down.
Yeah.
What do we know? You don't trade the
Yeah.
first
Cool.
inducement, you trade the second inducement. You then could trade the mitigation, which makes sense on why this came
Yeah.
back down. Okay. So
There's two
this,
entry models playing out. Same entry model playing out.
it's
High
clean
time frame
cut.
bearish,
Inducement,
and then the same thing
inducement,
bullish, but internal.
mitigation, push. Plays out
Yeah,
over
that's
and over
cool.
again. Once you see it, it is everywhere. Okay, so This to me would be a break even, personally. Whether you go 1 to 3, 50% off and then target 1 to 7, that's an option. So I'll just put valid entry. So far, EU is absolutely killing it. If you're not up 3% at the end of Wednesday, you've missed a trade. Okay, you should have taken one of them. They're all in timing, they're all valid, and they all base off of 15-minute entry models and medium inducements. Every single one. This is now a valid supply. Now, this is where the imbalance ends. So you can mark out that point there. I imagine it's an hourly point, but that's where the imbalance ends. So mark out the entire point. Don't be silly and try and make it too much of a lower point because you will screw yourself. Pull up. Structure cycle is now being complete. Break, internal break, retest, come to extreme. The first point after you come to the extreme is absolutely chalked. So as you can see, this entire point is going to get chalked. So this entire point is a smart money trap. We're just looking for a reason that it's a smart money trap. So if we mark out the break that is the smart money trap, funnily enough, where do we open? At this point. So we're looking proof that this is a smart money trap. This is the break even I took. Yeah, so push up, two leg, quick move down. Smart money trap confirmed. Coming from supply, weak demand. Anything you do, you target the low. Any trade you take, you target the low. None of this should hold. Okay? This is where I took a buy in here. I'm not even going to walk through it. It was the dumbest trade ever. But you've got obviously external break that leads to this break here. This in itself is a supply because you've got 1, 2, which then mitigated this area of supply. You've got mitigation into mitigation, clear manipulation, no medium inducements below, so nothing can push this in anywhere. Supply mitigation, push. You've then got, is this retest or not? You got push, build up of liquidity and push down. So the reason I didn't set that is the stop loss was too big. So I needed a take of liquidity or something. So we just mark out bearish structure. Like there is nothing bullish to push this thing up. Break, pull down, break, pull down, leads to this break. This is my last supply, which is also demand to supply area, but the whole area is a fucking supply, the entire area. So trying to find the exact area is silly. Just mark out the whole area. I needed an inducement in this range to enter. What I entered on was the internal break, pull up into here. Once this broke here, I set this off of one confirmation. So I was in on this. I had 50% Asian lows, full take profit, 1 to 11. That was how I was managing this trade. What ended up happening? Stayed in the range, mitigation, build up of liquidity, internal break, retest, push, take of retest, mitigation, structure cycle, pull up, continuation. So to people that would find it funny, I took this break even. Alex took this break even, and then he stayed until 4 hours after the session and took this sell.
This is pretty much just that same entry model again.
Yep.
Didn't break below,
Nope.
pulled up,
Yep.
took the retest and melted.
Same thing again. So
Just
all
on
you're
the 1
looking
minute.
for is the inducement. Selling is so much harder to read. Buying is not. Buying is a lot harder, a lot easier to read. Okay, in terms of we're just mitigating. Inducement, low, push up, pull down that leads to a two leg. So you've had this two leg. That's now a valid point to a break. Mitigation, push up, build up of liquidity, mitigation, inducement 1. So you've got, I mean, we can just follow this thing the entire fucking way. Inducement 1, inducement 2, inducement 3, break, two leg, inducement 4, break, pull down, which then leads to a two leg, inducement 5 that leads to a break. That's my last point. break, inducement, two leg, build up. Like we just follow inducements. It's not going any lower. There's nothing here that outweighs any of this shit. So every two leg is an inducement, every single one. And every single leg after a break does a two leg. Every single one. Break, two leg, break, two leg, break, two leg.
You would have been pipped out, right?
Yeah, yes, I would have been
If
pipped
you
out
held it.
literally to
Oh,
the pip. And FXCM literally pipped it.
oh gosh.
Yes, so that's why I couldn't hold because I hadn't didn't have enough liquidity in the range to hold through the take of this low.
Hmm.
Why too long, too legs strong on the high points to the left? Well, let's follow price. Okay. Mitigation, push, break, retest. Mitigation wasn't enough. Inducement, take of liquidity, break, retest, push, take of retest. It now doesn't need to come any higher than here. Break, retest is my two leg. That's now a valid supply, which mitigated supply. Doesn't need to come any higher than here. If it does a two leg to the upside and takes liquidity, it is a supply point. Until it takes something of anything down here, it won't then take out the new range. Okay,
Would
you're
you not
looking.
be interested in that sell closer to open where you've got the two leg confirms it was a trap, respects the supply, and then set this or
Yes, that's
no
what
brainer.
I originally was trying to buy here like a dumb cunt
Right.
because of GU. So the moment I realized I was being dumb, I was like, sell. Either way, you're catching a break even.
Yeah, because you have to go break even when it takes a low.
Yep.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
made
yeah.
no sense to do this. So this is another valid, like this is a valid break even. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he took this break even and then he took this break even. I know he took one and then he took this win. So for him to take three stabs at it, it's like it's not coming any higher or two stabs. Um, and then goes there. So bit annoying, but valid trade. This next entry is Josh's entry. You only take this entry, in my opinion, if you're up for the week. That's my opinion personally. So you've got supply, demand, as we know, as you should know, smart money trap. Dylan went over
This
this
is
as
the
well.
sell I got
Mm-hmm.
on New York. This was my
Mm-hmm.
last trade for the week.
Yep. Last point. Reason it's a supply. One, two, take of liquidity, push, retest, push. Take of retest. Like I said, this is one you take when you're up. I would not be taking this on a Monday. This is fucking aggressive as fuck. Um, where you use your internal break. This one makes the most sense of internal break. Second break, I think you got in maybe a little bit earlier, or maybe you didn't, or maybe that's what you went off of. 5 pip stop loss, imagine. Do you have that?
I had that on the green, and then um I had that covering just the last imbalance. Yeah, yeah, that's what I had, and
Beautiful.
it pipped me in five. I had a 5 pip stop.
Juicy. Structure cycle. Personally, I would have only targeted this low. I think you targeted this low. This is a medium inducement.
Yeah, I only held it because of structure cycle, but
That's
I
fine.
understand. I
Yeah.
should have held. I was thinking four, and then I thought I'm up for the week. I don't mind if it goes break even, but yeah,
It's just a lot.
it's
All
a
of
lot to
the
leave.
risk
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah, yeah.
five.
For five, yeah, one R, yeah, probably
And
not
this
great
is
in
a medium
hindsight.
inducement. So up to you. I think that's the valid entry. Either way, good entry to take. Like I said, aggressive as fuck. Um, I would not be taking this unless you're up. My opinion. Very, very aggressive. Very nice though. Very, very nice. Okay, coming into the next day. Medium inducement, major inducement, whatever you like to call it. We don't worry about what's too far to the left. Medium inducement right here. I then need to find out what the go is. Does this hold enough to push through here or does it not? Okay. Push up, push down. This is not enough to push through here. That is the first thing I notice. Okay. Because this didn't break the low, this point now is a smart money trap. Okay. Valid supply from yesterday. Break, retest, internal break. I now have my sell side model from the point above. So I now have two reasons as to why it's coming to take the Asian high. One, it's the Asian high. Two, I'm moving away from medium inducement and it showed that my recent supply reaction is not enough. I've then internally broken and taken liquidity, which means I've brought in sellers at my most recent high, which has already showed me that it's not enough because it didn't break the low. Okay. I've then got valid supply with small imbalance above my Asian highs. So for me, this is a medium inducement. Okay. All I'm looking for is to buy into this thing. So we've got to read internal structure. So what do we have? Take of liquidity that then leads to a two leg to the downside. So take here that leads to my break. Okay. Reading this internal is hard. I still think you should learn how to do it anyway. What we're then looking for is break. No, we don't have break and retest. Instead, what do we get? A two leg to the downside and push into this point. So we get two leg, break, retest, push up, take of retest, push. So all this is telling me is we've got two leg, take of liquidity, manipulation, break, two leg, mitigation, break, last point. Okay, so I now know that this doesn't hold enough to push through anything. Okay, it will push through its last low. Break, retest, push. I now have a protected demand here that outweighs my point above, given current structure, current demands, where I'm moving from, moving away from my medium inducement. Coming into the session, just like I said, this is my active demand that has mitigated my previous demand here. Okay. I want to sell because this is my 15-minute entry model. This is my last supply. This has already showed it's a smart money trap by not breaking, so context is everything. I then had pull down, which took, as we can see, we've got break, somewhat valid point, but it didn't give me my two legs. So you've got pull, no two leg, push. So this to me is retest or a smart money trap, either or. I then have pull down and inducement. So I've now induced more sellers into the market into my protected demand. Okay. I believe this internal break is enough to set this. The reason I didn't is because I needed a little bit more. I didn't want to set this before the market opened at this point. Okay. Context completely drives this trade. It's a hedge trade. It's why I half risked it. But I understand this could possibly be a break. It's already pushed through and induced my last bit of liquidity here. I know that this point won't hold and this demand outweighs this point. Pull down into mitigation on open. What do I also get is I get one, pull up, two. So I get a two leg manipulation, bringing in sellers from a point that I don't think is going to hold. What does this also bring in? Trendline traders. Context of smart money trap. Inducement into mitigation. I had this as an internal 15-minute break, 15-second break, and that's where I set the limit. That was enough for me. Didn't even wait for anything else. I don't even know what I had. Maybe I had a little bit big of a stop loss, maybe a 5. 1 to 4. Okay, that was enough for the entry for me. If we would like to read more into inducements and what's happening, Smart money inducement off of the two leg from a point that should already be a smart money trap given the current context. Trend line build up kind of persuades me into thinking that this is. I've then got internal break into a point that should be a smart money trap. How do I know it's a smart money trap? It gives me an inducement low. One leg, two leg, into inducement, into my demand, push out. Smart money trap confirmed, entire leg. So the next entry, just like we were just speaking about, Matt, is the same entry that we've just followed 400 times this call. Inducement, inducement, mitigation. I tried to get a second percent in this. I was too slow. You can have that one or that one, completely up to you. I would just have the lower one here. You would literally get pipped in. We know that this leg is now a smart money trap. What do we get again? Smart money trap reaction. Building liquidity into a built liquidity area, into the mitigation of our demand area. Session volatility push out, confirm smart money trap. That's the second entry. Targeting it as a minimum, the Asian highs. Does that make sense? Beautiful. What do we then have? Looking for our sell model. Absolutely fucking nothing. No way to get in. Okay. All it does is come down and takes our liquidity. In terms of the 15-minute model, what do we have? And this, you need to get this in your heads because once you get this in your head, you'll see the market completely different. Supply that broke, recent low. Push up, internal break. No break and retest, build up liquidity entry. Complex pullback, inducement, trend line build up. Tick 1, tick 2, tick 3. Momentum. That's all that's required. Obviously, no entry is what it is, but that was kind of that read there. This to me is very valid, and I would expect at some point we're all taking this together. Hard read, not necessarily an entry model. It is with the two inducements, but it's not two confirmations. That's the difference between whether you look at taking this or not. It's not two confirmations. It's the inducement entry model of the current market momentum to the upside into a sell zone trap, which has been confirmed. Make sense? Sweet. All right. So EU this week was an absolute fucking moneymaker. So we got 1 to 4, 1 to 4, which was a break even. So let's just say 1 to 4. Josh is 1 to 4. So there's 8%. This was just your break even, or you could take 1 to 3. So you can either have 1 to 8 or 1 to 11, completely up to you. And both of these should have been caught. 1 to 3 and 1 to 3. So I don't know, was it 20% there? Bob's your uncle. Structure cycle, bearish structure cycle. Pretty straightforward and simple, I think, with that. I think this is once you start reading structure correctly, you realize that every week is actually a good week. Every single week. There's not actually a bad week.
Nah, first week's bad in New York.
Yeah, New York's
I
different
don't
because it's
like
all the
this.
red
Yeah,
folder. It's all
it's
red
all
folder.
news. It's like I
Yeah.
can't do anything. But London, not good.
So just EU alone, realistically, you should take these two, 1 to 3, 1 to 3. This one you would hold higher given you're up 6%, so you wouldn't secure anything. This would obviously be break even. This, I think you did the right thing, Josh, in holding more, given the current scenario of what you should have taken already. Even yourself should have been up 3% in this. You should have taken this. Like I said, I didn't take it either. I should have taken it. You should be up 3%, 6%. This one here, hold 1 to 5, 11%. If you take this, you either take it because you're trying to take both, like me, and therefore I hedge, and when I hedge, I half risk, or you wait for the sell and there's no entry. I think that's kind of how you got to treat it. In terms of knowing which trade to take, in terms of like, do I take the buy, do I take the sell? You always try and take the higher priority one, which for this was the sell. Like I half, that's why I half risk this. My idea was 1 to 4 half risk, secure 2%. My trade on the sell is now I'm covered it. Okay. But if I had lost the 0.5%, the sell wouldn't have even come anyway. So I'm risking 0.5% to possibly set myself up to be in profit, doesn't matter what, and possibly take another trade. So that's my thinking behind it. You may not necessarily be at the point to do that, which is fine. Okay. But you should at least mark it down, put it in your journal, and kind of go from there. Valid area, no entry. But I want you guys to start seeing this 15-minute entry model because it's completed once, twice. I guess that's 1, 2, 3 times. There's 3 entries here based on the same 15-minute entry model. Okay. Sweet as. Go to the next one, eh? I haven't even looked at GU, by the way.
I got to bounce.
No, that's fine,
Um,
bro. No stress. No stress.
yeah. See you all tomorrow. He was sweet, so
No, sweet. There, just with that pair
thanks for
alone, it's
recording.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, too easy.
All
Thanks,
right.
mate.
Cheers, boys.
Easy.
I'll
Catch
catch
you,
us.
brother.
Bye.
All right, so I'll breeze through it. We spent a lot of time on that one because that was the ideal pair. So I'll breeze through this one a little bit quicker. So Monday, obviously bearish. Like I said, don't try and overread things. We're obviously bearish. Push down, medium inducement. So we're now trading from a medium inducement. We've got break into an area of a smart money trap. So demand to supply, take a liquidity. Break, retest, and push. On London Open, we're open in the middle of nowhere, so I wouldn't even look. Okay, we're trying to sell to this, but you're better off waiting for the buy. So once you get the buy, like I said, I don't want to trade 50% of the range. I need it to move up or I need it to move down. Medium inducement, no two leg, no nothing. You would kind of probably have that as this, no entry. Okay, so no entry on GU at all. Come into the next session. So coming into this here. Okay, coming into the session here. Medium inducement, structure cycle, all of this is going to get absolutely smushed. We're looking to buy through this smart money trap. What we end up having is an inducement here. You then push into this point here that has liquidity that gives you a 2 leg out of it into an internal break. That's a valid entry to take. Fuck me, it's hard. So you've got inducement 1, inducement 2 into mitigation, smart money trap reaction, break of structure, setting, you would probably cover that entire leg, I would say, for a 5 pip. That's your break even, targeting most recent supply here. So this is valid. This is very valid. First trade of the week, continuation, you'd take 1 to 3, hands down. So medium inducement, first point should get destroyed. If you actually look at the 15-minute as well, we've built internal liquidity and not reacted out of a point. So we're expecting this medium inducement to then make a higher high. Okay, that is expected, or at least to come into here. Medium inducement, this point should get absolutely rooted. Smart money trap reaction, you have an entry model play out. That's the entry you try and take here. This is very valid to take. But given EU on the same day, I don't think there was one on a Monday night. This is very, very nice to take. Okay. Let me fuck that off. Fuck that off. Cool. So very valid entry to take. Let me mark that out. We've got this one here. Valid area, no entry out of timing. Okay. Then have this one here. Valid area, valid entry. Like that. Okay. So 3% up for the week on GU should have been the start to the Monday. Coming into the next day, we were obviously racking out of supply. We've pushed down, absolutely broken nothing. There's nothing to work here. This is a valid supply to look from, but I don't see an inducement necessarily into it. Um, Push, what has led to not even really an internal break either. That's hasn't given a smart money trap reaction. That's the 15-minute high. Yeah, I don't really view this as a valid area to look for an entry. Um, I would probably need the high of that taken. Um, yeah, I don't view this as valid. It does take a 15-minute high out of Asia, but I don't like this as a high. It's just a random two leg into a push down. This area should be a smart money trap, which would make this invalidate this a valid trade. Um, Given that this is a smart money trap, but in terms of reading that, I don't think there's a way to actually read that nicely. Um, Coming into New York, medium inducement here. No entry. Inducement push up into this point. Inducement low. One. No second inducement push. Push out. Nothing to do with that. So G had nothing for that session. Given that this point is a medium inducement, you're not expecting this to hold, so you want this taken. Coming into the session, we have break that pulls down and mitigates a demand to supply. Yeah. We then push out and break here. So you have medium inducement high and medium inducement low. You can look to take either. Okay. I think I took the sell. I got a break even, I think. So I reckon I took that sell, but I'm going to focus on the buy, giving momentum. This point we should break through. No, I took the buy. So we had inducement. This isn't an inducement to me. We then had react from supply here. We've got break into a two leg into an internal break. So I've got my second inducement here. Once that broke, that's where I entered. So I got tagged in off of this mitigation. Okay. And all this is that simple one inducement, second inducement entry. One inducement, second inducement leads to a break. Here, break even at the high, which you catch a break even. So to me, I think this is still valid, in my opinion. Cool. Obviously, this ends up doing what we thought it would do, but there was just nowhere in that. New York comes. New York, we take a supply. It's a shit supply, so I didn't see it as a medium inducement. But given the current context, it does make sense to actually go from there. We do mitigate this area here. So we've got break, area of retest, and we do mitigate it. To me, I actually see none of this valid in here. I need this high gone. This to me is not a valid point. Just in my opinion, I just don't think it is. Um, we induce it on open. There wouldn't be an entry there anyway. I don't think it's valid. We then have a 15-minute two leg to the downside into this point. So this versus this shouldn't hold. Smart money trap reaction to the high. I don't view this as a valid sell either, given that I don't like this high. We're acting off a point that's a random area. Like it's not actually a valid supply. So I don't see any of this as valid on GU at all to actually look for a trade in here. That to me is not like it is a medium inducement, but it's not enough to not push through this high. I would have wanted this one gone. Okay, and into the mitigation here. So I don't think we've missed anything there. Like I said, valid break even. Push down into the mitigation on open, around open. So we're acting from an area of nothing to us. 15-minute internal break, which then leads to this here, which may actually be Okay, that is a valid supply. It just hasn't broken through shit. It broke through this valid demand here, so it is a valid supply. I don't know why I had that marked out as that. So coming from this point here, inducement into mitigation around session timing, we have inducement one that then leads to a two leg inducement two. Unfortunately, leads to an external break and takes all of that liquidity. So I wouldn't want to take that. No entry for me. So GU is just really giving nothing. EU's given everything so far. Coming into supply in Asia, break. Given that we're not breaking through structure, we're not breaking anything 15-minute wise. This point should be a smart money trap. Build up, nothing here. Push down into this area, which then gives us this break. This is not a demand to supply to me at all. Technically is with the break and retest, but I'm just not interested. I don't see anything on GU here. Lower the range, no inducements high, nothing. Push down, medium inducement, no reaction, nothing. GU, that's it. So GU, one trade on Monday, which ran 1 to 3, or if you hold to that point, 1 to 5, and then a break even. I think they're both valid. Past that, absolutely nothing. Cool. Any questions on any of that? Or are we good to continue on? Looks like we're good to continue on.